You're scrolling, drifting through the endless static of the algorithm, waiting for the signal to cut through the noise. Consider, if you will, that you just found the frequency. You've just stepped off the timeline of the everyday, into the space where the forgotten history and the hidden truths finally touch down. There's the story you know, and then there's the airspace we're about to enter. Check your coordinates, because you're heading towards the landing point.
Welcome back, friends. Today's story, not just acting. She sat at her desk, surrounded by complex diagrams, tinkering with an idea that could change the course of a world war. She wasn't an engineer by trade. She didn't have a degree from a prestigious university, but she had a mind like a steel trap. Born in Austria, young Hedwig had found herself trapped in a gilded cage. She had married a tremendously wealthy munitions manufacturer, a man who was fiercely jealous and deeply controlling. And worse, a man who hosted lavish dinners for European fascists like Benito Mussolini. Hedwig would sit quietly at the end of those long, opulent dinner tables. The men largely ignored her, assuming she was nothing more than a quiet, pretty face. But Hedwig was listening. She quietly absorbed their highly technical conversations about weaponry, submarines, and the vulnerability of radio-controlled torpedoes. Eventually, she could take it no longer. She disguised herself, fled her husband's estate in the dead of night, and escaped to London. From there, she made her way to the United States, absolutely determined to help defeat the very men her husband had done business with. In America, she had learned that Allied torpedoes were missing their marks. The enemy was simply jamming the single frequency radio signals that guided them. So Hedwig teamed up with an avant-garde piano composer named George. Together, they tackled the problem. Hedwig realized that if the radio signal guiding the torpedoes could constantly change frequencies, hopefully around in a synchronized, unpredictable pattern, it would be utterly impossible for the enemy to jam. Drawing inspiration from the slotted paper rolls of the player pianos, they created a miniaturized system to exactly do that. They called it the frequency hopping spread spectrum technology. In 1942, they patented their brilliant, world-changing idea and proudly handed it over to the United States Navy. The military brass looked at the complex patent. They looked at the inventor, and they laughed. They dismissed the idea outright, claiming that the mechanism would be too bulky to fit in the torpedo. And then the Navy gave the brilliant inventor a piece of incredibly condescending advice. They told her that if she really wanted to help the war effort, she shouldn't be tinkering with torpedoes. She should just go sell war bonds. It was a crushing blow. The Navy classified her patent, locked it in a file cabinet, and let it gather dust. In fact, her frequency hopping technology wouldn't be implemented by the military until the Cuban Missile Crisis, decades later. But why on earth did the United States Navy tell a brilliant, visionary inventor to go sell war bonds? Because the men in the uniform couldn't see past her day job. You see, when Hedwig arrived in America, she had crossed paths with Louis B. DeMare, the legendary head of MGM Studios. He had changed her name, and he had put her on the silver screen. By the time she handed the patent to the Navy, she wasn't just an inventor. She was starring alongside Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy. She was billed by the studios quite literally as the most beautiful woman in the world. Today, that dismissed torpedo technology is the invisible backbone of the modern digital age. Every time you pair a Bluetooth device, use GPS navigation, or log onto secure Wi-Fi networks, you're relying on the brilliant mind of a 1940s Hollywood starlet. The glamorous siren of the silver screen, Hedwig Heisler, you know her as Hedy Lamarr, And whether you realize it or not, this is the landing point.
Viewers, thank you for watching today, The Landing Point. We really appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Roadrunner Real Estate. They are a full-service real estate company doing both commercial and residential real estate. They can help you buy, sell, or even lease your properties. So if you're in the market looking for a real estate company, please go out and give them a call. They'll happily help you today. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our social media. Obviously, we have YouTube if you're watching that today. If you haven't done so already, please go out and subscribe. It is completely free to you. There's nothing that you'll be charged or your membership fees, but it does help us out so we can get our latest episodes to you quickly, and you can find out what's going on with YouTube. Our other place that we do a lot of our social media is on our Facebook page, The Landing Point. So please go out and like and subscribe or follow those, I guess I would say, so you get the latest updates. If you're a person that likes to listen to stories as you're out on the drive, we have our podcast. You can find The Landing Point out there, and it can be on most services. So once again, thank you for watching The Landing Point, and we look forward to see you on our next story.